What am I seeing? What are they doing to my baby?
Jonathan Hale had built his fortune on foresight, control, and preparation. Those same instincts had driven him to install discreet security cameras throughout his sprawling home, not out of paranoia for his wealth, but out of fear for his son. 12-year-old Lucas had been paralyzed from the waist down after a reckless driver ran a red light 3 years earlier, shattering not only Lucas's spine, but the fragile world Jonathan had believed he could protect with money alone. Since that day, the mansion had filled with doctors, therapists, nurses, and maids who came and went like seasonal staff. Some kind, some careless, some merely there for the paycheck. Jonathan had learned the hard way that not everyone treated a vulnerable child with the patience and dignity he deserved. A raised voice caught by accident, a rough tug on a wheelchair, a therapist who skipped exercises when she thought no one was watching. Each incident chipped away at Jonathan's trust, so he hid cameras, tiny and silent, embedded in corners, lamps, and shelves, telling himself it was only to keep Lucas safe. Yet, even as the feeds streamed to his private office, Jonathan rarely watched them anymore. Seeing his son's daily struggle through a lens felt like reopening a wound. When the previous maid quit abruptly, citing emotional exhaustion, Jonathan hired a new one without much thought. Her name was Elena. She was quiet during the interview, her resume plain, her references brief but sincere. She didn't flatter him or stare at the marble floors in awe. She asked only one question. Does Lucas like music? Jonathan barely noticed it at the time. The first week passed uneventfully. Elena kept the house spotless, prepared simple meals, and followed Lucas's schedule precisely. Jonathan, buried in meetings and late-night calls, barely crossed paths with her. Lucas, however, seemed different. The boy who once answered questions with shrugs or monosyllables started lingering in the kitchen when Elena hummed softly while cooking. His eyes followed her movements with a curiosity Jonathan hadn't seen in years. One evening, Jonathan returned home early, exhausted and restless, and decided, for reasons he couldn't quite explain, to open the camera feeds. He expected nothing. Perhaps that was why. What he saw unsettled him so deeply. On the screen, Elena sat on the floor beside Lucas's wheelchair, not speaking, not doing therapy, not even touching him. She was simply there, matching her breathing to his, eyes closed, palms resting on the cool tile. After a long moment, she whispered something Jonathan couldn't hear clearly. Lucas's shoulders, usually tense, slowly dropped. Jonathan leaned closer to the screen. Elena began tapping softly on the floor, a rhythm so gentle it barely registered, then handed Lucas 2 wooden spoons. The boy hesitated, confused, then tapped them together. Elena smiled, not the practiced smile of an employee, but something raw and encouraging, and began tapping back. A rhythm formed, clumsy at first, then steady. Lucas laughed, a sound Jonathan realized he hadn't heard freely in months. Jonathan froze. This wasn't in any care manual. It wasn't therapy or routine. It was connection. The next feed showed Elena later that night adjusting Lucas's blanket with painstaking care, speaking to him as if he were a partner in conversation rather than a burden to manage. "You don't have to be brave all the time," she said softly. "You can be tired. I'll stay." Jonathan felt a tightening in his chest. Over the next few days, he watched more. Elena never knew. He saw her read to Lucas, not from children's books, but from adventure novels, pausing to ask his opinion on the hero's choices. He saw her carry him, not lift, but guide through exercises long after the physical therapist had left, turning each movement into a game, celebrating effort rather than success. Then came the moment that shattered Jonathan's assumptions. Late one night, the camera in the living room captured Lucas in tears, his fists clenched, voice shaking with frustration, and he rarely voiced aloud. "I hate this chair," he sobbed. "I hate being stuck." Jonathan's instinct was to rush downstairs, but he stopped, compelled to watch. Elena knelt in front of Lucas, her face level with his. She didn't contradict him. She didn't offer hollow reassurance. She said, "I know." Then she did something Jonathan never expected. She placed Lucas's hands on her own legs and said, "Tell me what you miss." Lucas faltered, then whispered, "Running." Elena nodded, then gently moved his hands to her knees as she shifted her weight. "Then feel this," she said. "This is movement. Different doesn't mean gone." She described every step she took as she slowly walked in place, narrating the sensation as if inviting Lucas into it. Lucas listened, breathing slowing, eyes focused. When she finished, she said, "Your body remembers. We'll remind it together." Jonathan felt tears blur the screen. In that moment, he understood something painful and humbling. All his money, all his vigilance, all his hidden cameras had protected Lucas from harm, but none of it had given him hope. Elena did that without realizing anyone was watching. The next morning, Jonathan called Elena into his office. She stood calmly, hands folded, expecting perhaps criticism. Jonathan struggled to speak. He confessed about the cameras, not defensively, but with shame, and told her what he had seen. Elena listened, eyes steady, then said quietly, "I'm glad you saw the real him." Jonathan offered her a raise, a contract, anything she wanted. Elena shook her head. "Just let me keep helping him," she said. "Not as a job, as a promise." From that day on, the cameras stayed, but Jonathan no longer watched out of fear. He watched to learn. Lucas began physical therapy with renewed determination, not because he believed he would walk tomorrow, but because he believed he was more than what he had lost. The mansion changed. Laughter echoed where silence once lived, and Jonathan, the man who thought control was protection, learned that sometimes the greatest safety comes from trust. If this story moved you, if you believe that real change comes from compassion where we least expect it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like these remind us that humanity is the greatest wealth of all. So, this was today's video. If you like this kind of educational content, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more amazing stories.